remember that the times are different. At the time of Mr. Mushwana, the foundation was still needed to be built. Women were not holding these positions that much. And it was an appreciation to say that I got an opportunity to be the first one that went into that office and then contributed a lot according to the records that I have. I also uplifted women. We only had seniors as male people. And then during that time, we train women, we change policies, acting policies so that women can also get an opportunity to higher positions. And we ended up appointing women in higher positions. Thank you.
Thank you. Just an observation before I move on. I can notice that when you are responding to some of the questions, I observe my members, sometimes they give some gestures of shock or something. I'm just saying it's an observation that I've just observed when you were giving some of the answers. Okay, Honorable Shivambu.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I'm not comfortable with this candidate because she served as a deputy public protector before under Advocate Mushwana, accused him of sexual harassment. They threatened each other with litigations and taking each other to court and suing each other 3 million. Even if such is settled out of court, it means that she is irresponsible to not act against sexual harassment. If it did not exist, she's still irresponsible. I think that is one thing that must be clear here, that we cannot be taken, like you cannot drag the institution of public protector in the mud that easily. I think that we must take issue with that. We'll discuss it when we deal with assessment later on. But two, even with the public protector advocate Tulima Dosel, when she was deputy, like lots of public spats and writing of letters to parliament about internal issues that drag the name of the public protector in the mud. And what happens when you do that? It leads to the public losing confidence in that institution because one of the senior people, a deputy public protector, is saying that this institution is political. These DA matters which are not being handled, there's this and that. And then how is the public expected to trust such an institution when a deputy public protector is busy muddying it in that fashion? And that person comes here and says that we must rationally appoint her as a public protector. I think we would have degenerated if we do that. It's one of the things that we must never, ever consider when we're dealing with those issues. She's suspended from her current work. And she wants to be a public protector who must be trusted by all of us, must adjudicate over very contentious issues. I think that is one of the things that must be looked into. I know she applied to be a secretary of the Pan-African Parliament as well. Out of the 11 jobs that she had, she wanted to be a secretary of the Pan-African Parliament. Click. These are some of the issues. Like then let me come to questions. That if
Shivambu, can you try to be crisp?
Yes.
Because most of what you've said now has already been said by other members.
If the unthinkable thing of appointing you as a public protector happens, how are you going to increase its accessibility? There is more than 200 local municipalities in South Africa. How are you going to make sure that those people who are in those local municipalities that do not have access to internet, do not have telephones, have access to the public protector's office? The second question.
Shivambu, how do you expect her to answer that question when you say, if the unthinkable? Proceed, honorable member.
Oh yeah,
just saying
that's
that
fine. Yeah, she'll respond. She'll respond. Then the second and last issue is, Chair, quickly, is when the public protector, the advocate Tulima Donsel, came here in Parliament, I think one of the last appearances, there was discussion about the funding model in recognition of the fact that the money that is appropriated from Parliament is not adequate for the Public Protector's Office. And there were a variety of ideas that were tossed around, and because you know the internal systems and you have been there for a very long time, what do you think should be the much more durable funding model for the Public Protector's Office that goes beyond the appropriation process that now the office is dependent on? And lastly, what is your view of the Public Protector report on Kandla? Do you agree fully with that the President of the Republic, of the ANC, I mean to say, acted outside the law? And that, as said by the Constitutional Court, that he failed to uphold, to defend, and respect the Constitution. Do you agree with that observation?
I would like to raise the issue of conflicts and I would like to address it, Honorable Shivambu. In the context of every conflict that I found myself in, whether I've caused it, whether it was caused where in my midst, it is where the interest of the entity I'm representing is colliding with the individual interest, where the values of the organization, the vision or mission is threatened by individual personal interest. The mandatory requirements during Mr. Mushwana were not applied in full, and my insistence caused a conflict. And I want to just correct the facts that you found. I did not report Mr. Mushwana of sexual harassment, the media did. The people reported sexual harassment. I just informed him of what the people are saying in the office. It was not that I went anywhere to report Mr. Mushwana. And as the DPP is also a statutory office bearer, was delegated function of administrative nature, and it was important for me to bring the function closer to the statutory functions. And as I say that, when we sat down, we realized that it was a misunderstanding caused by media and other people who twisted the facts. That is why our relationship carried on in a better position than before. I did read, in terms of the Nkandla judgment, I did read the judgment. And I'm still saying that a recommendation, a remedial action is not a court order, because the public protector and the court are not on equal standing. If the public protector was a court, then we would have a problem, because it would not be as accessible as the remedial action. You cannot not comply with it unless you are saying that it is irrational. And the judgments are clarifying the position that you have to look at the nature of the remedial action that is taken, the language, and one of the other important factor around the remedial action is its implementability. If it is not implementable, it doesn't qualify as an appropriate remedial action and it can be challenged. So that is what I'm saying. I'm not saying state organs should not. I say they must obey it because they are bound by the Constitution to be accountable, to support the office, to make sure the office is effective. But if the remedial action is irrational, and then we say everybody must just apply it, then there will be disaster. That is why we have to look at the nature of it, the language of it, and to see that it is binding